Sports Commute. As always, I'm Dan. I'm joined by Matt and Jake. I think this is the second time on the show.
Second?
Probably,
Second
yeah.
or third.
Yeah.
Second or third.
We got a special guest with us today. The spotter for the championship-winning number 9 NASCAR team, Eddie Hondt.
What are you guys up to?
Well, we're about to ask you some questions.
The couch looks pretty comfy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, you want to start?
Go ahead.
All right, so we had a couple of fans ask us some questions to ask you.
Okay.
So, Rick Barletta, the Real New York Hype House, he wanted to know if you and some of the other team members, when you guys are at Watkins Glen specifically, do anything outside of the track.
No. There's no time. In the format when we have practice and qualifying and then the race, as spotters, if you're good at what you do, you work every series. So you're at the track early in the morning, whether it's for K&N or whatever the lowest series is, and then you work through the day until you get to all the practices done, and maybe at that point it's a K&N race late that afternoon or ARCA race late that afternoon. And then Saturday it's more practice for the Cup cars, and then the Xfinity race, and then Sunday the Cup race. So by the time we get out of the tracks, it's usually dinner time. So we'll go straight to eat after the race is over, whatever race it is, leading up to the Cup race. Get a beer, go back to the hotel, go to bed, and do it all the next day. So there's no time to get out into the town other than go eat somewhere.
All right. He would also want to know if the Hooters sponsorship permits you guys from getting real wings, real chicken wings.
Oh.
The best wings are at Hooters.
All right. And he also wanted to know ranch or blue cheese.
Neither. I hate both of them.
That's
All
good
right.
enough for me.
All right.
That's good enough
As long
for
as
me.
you didn't say ranch.
Yeah. His specific instructions were ranch or blue cheese. If he said ranch, he needs to be corrected.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not good on mayonnaise stuff, so I'm out on both.
All right.
What are your thoughts on the next-gen car?
Don't know. I hear a lot of rumors. I've seen some tape. Have not been to a test yet. Don't know what I feel about one lug nut. The gearbox change, the body change. If it helps the owners save money, I'm all for it. That helps everybody. Looks like 29 races next year. We won't have any practice. I'm good with that. We don't need to practice. I don't know. Look, the sport can't get $30 million sponsors no more, so we got to change. We got to be willing to change so that we can keep it going.
Yeah.
So stuff like that's going to be proactive change to keep our jobs rolling and the racing rolling for the fans, and that's what we got to do.
All right.
Okay.
Sure, you want to?
No, I just want to know, what's the traveling like, I guess, on you guys as a team specifically? Is it as much of a drag as I would say NFL season type thing? Would you say?
Well, I don't know. I haven't never done the NFL season, but I have done this since at least the Cup side since '96, full time on the road, and in NASCAR since '81. And so, as far as I can tell, our schedule's longer than anybody's. I work the Rolex race and test in January, so I start January and go till the week before Thanksgiving. So I consider that a pretty long season. As far as being a drag, well, I don't know. I think I'm fortunate enough that I have a job that I don't consider a job.
Yeah.
I love what I do. So there's a lot of people in offices looking at clocks every day. Can't wait to slide down the dinosaur tail. That's not me. I love what I do, and so it's fun for me. There's times when it's not so fun, like maybe it's 23 degrees and you're up at the highest part of a racetrack with the wind blowing and snot rolling out your nose. So maybe that's not so much fun, but on a whole, I don't consider my job work. So I get paid to do something I love to do. So the travel grind, yeah. I mean, there's times we get home 3 or 4 in the morning, but the trade-off's worth it all.
Definitely.
All right. So how'd it feel to go back to victory lane and actually win a championship?
I think the coolest part was the Martinsville win.
Oh,
I mean, backs against the wall to advance. We had a winner. There was no Phoenix. And then the start last at Phoenix and march through the field. I actually think that starting last was a benefit to us because it got us on a roll of passing cars, and we weren't up front already racing with the guys that we had to beat. We come up behind them and just drove around them with a good car.
Yeah. All right. Who is your probably favorite driver that you ever worked with?
Boy, that's hard because I've worked with a lot of real good ones. Right now I'm at 5 Hall of Fame drivers that I've done over a year with. And every single one of them is still a good friend of mine. I think I'm probably one of the luckiest guys up there to have worked with, Bill Elliott, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, now Chase, Dale Jarrett. So I've had tours with some pretty phenomenal people. I really couldn't single one out, but I am enjoying what I'm doing right now with Chase, I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Short.
I think I want to know. I'm still thinking.
All right. Another one of a fan asked me a question. How do you not stay bored, and do you have any snacks that you snack on when you're up in the stand?
So I'm a pretty routine kind of guy, and I mean, there's times when it could get boring, but I'm pretty much thinking the whole time I'm up there. When I go to work, I go to work. This isn't, I don't know. It's not a thing where you goof around. You got to take it seriously, and I can learn something through every series we work in. So I take it pretty serious. When we leave the racetrack and we go to have dinner, I might have cut up a few laughs with the guys that ride in the car with me. But yes, we all bring a cooler that sits on top of our little box on wheels that carries all our radios. Put ice in it every morning, and generally we'll stop on the way in and get something we can fill it up with as far as something to eat and something to drink. You're going to laugh, but I usually, before I get on the plane, I'll make 3 or 4 peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and I'll share one with Kevin Hamlin.
I'm not surprised.
But, we all got routines. Yes, all the things you can think of, we probably do. I'm a little on the healthy side. I usually catch 1 or 2 runs on a weekend when we had our old schedule, not Corona schedule. This coronavirus schedule we had this year was pretty insane, whereas we had to be at the racetrack at a specific time for our test, our health screening test. And then from that point forward, there was usually anywhere between 3 to 5 hours before the race actually happened. So we logged between 300 and 400 hours sitting in rental cars this year when we came back at Darlington until we ended at Phoenix. So it was definitely strange, definitely different. A lot of stir craziness just sitting there. Pretty hard to sit in a car for that many hours, but so that did change the vernacular a little bit. And the other thing is, once we went through the test, we weren't allowed to leave the racetrack, so you was stuck. So it was definitely different.
What's your favorite track?
Bristol.
All right.
I'd say Martinsville's a close second. And the reason for that is I grew up racing on short tracks. I drove for a good while on the modifieds. And it's just back home, It's just short track racing, nighttime, gouging and fighting for a spot all night long. so those are my faves. I don't know, but those are just two that tickle my fancy.
All right. I wanted to talk about DeHondt Humphrey Motorsports and Riley DeHondt Motorsports.
Okay.
10 or 11
so
years
I
ago.
went through a period where after I got down in Charlotte in '96, Tommy Baldwin and myself moved down at the same time. We shared a house with 5 other guys. Steve Park was one of them. And we called it Camp Chaos because it was. And once I got my feet wet for a while and got to know the people in the garage, I started managing teams because I had a business background. And once I was done GMing teams, the last one being Everham Motorsports, I started owning my own teams. Tommy and I started an Xfinity team. We had several drivers, Wally Dallenbach, Ward Burton, Damon Lusk. And then I moved on to owning my own teams. And sometimes I partner up with people. The association with the Rileys was where they wanted to move. They had been building the Daytona prototype cars that you see run the Rolex race at Daytona. And they wanted to get into NASCAR, and they were extremely smart guys. So I teamed up with them, and we formed an Xfinity team. And David Green drove for us in a few races. And then they really didn't like the NASCAR part of it. They wanted to go back to their road racing roots only. And so we disbanded that. The DeHondt Humphreys team was really a Star and Park Xfinity team that we tried to move on to a full-time team, but the economy was really bad at the time. And honestly, we would just start parking and taking the money. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. So that's those two.
All right. Short.
I can't. I'm running on no sleep now.
What was probably your best 2020 memory from the season?
Well, it had to be Phoenix. I mean, I've been in this since 1981, in NASCAR since 81, in the Cup Series since 96. That's the first championship in the Cup Series that I've been involved with. It's what you dream about. It's what you get up for every day to work towards. So yeah, there's nothing going to top that. That was.
So when word came down from NASCAR on that day in, what was it, March or April?
March, maybe?
I think it was April. That they were going to suspend operations until May. What was your first thought, and actually how did you handle being away from the track?
Yeah, that's a good question. When they first suspended it, I don't think they knew a May date. It was kind of like week to week. And then we started seeing a lot of other sports fold for a period of time, fold up their tent. And, man, it was kind of weird because, we didn't know if our company was going to be able to pay us, what we had to do financially to support our families. It was like we were blindsided. We were quarter way into our season, and all of a sudden, we actually flew down to Atlanta, got off the plane, and went to a IHOP to get breakfast. And we got a call while we were eating to come back to the plane, and it was just surreal. So I'm pretty handy around my house, and so I started projects. I had about 10 of them that I wanted to get done, and got up every day and just started knocking them out one at a time. And I wound up building I already had a koi pond in my backyard, and I went and built another one with a waterfall in my front yard and a flower bed, which turned out pretty nice.
That's awesome.
All right.
I would say, what is like a standout memory from past years? Like you've been in it so long. Do you have any other like favorite memories? I guess.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was lucky enough to win 39 races with Kyle Busch over a 2.5-year period. So that was pretty amazing. 5 in a row at Bristol, across 3 different series. Then winning the Brickyard with Jeff Gordon was pretty phenomenal. And then his last race at Martinsville. Dale Jarrett's last race at Talladega. Bobby Labonte's last race at Talladega. So I've been involved with some pretty special wins for drivers over their careers. I don't know that I got a favorite one. They're all pretty tender in their own way, given the time frame. But I just been lucky. I mean, I've created some really phenomenal relationships. I've worked hard at what I do, and feels like I've been doing it a pretty long time now.
Well, going back to Jeff's final win at Martinsville there, what was your reaction, right, to Matt Kenseth taking out Joey Logano there? That actually helped Jeff take the checker.
I thought it was great. Logano had it coming to him. You watched the race at Kansas the week before. You can't tell me you didn't.
So was it kind of the same reaction for when Chase took out Denny at Phoenix?
Say that again. You broke up.
Was it kind of the same reaction for when Chase put Denny in the wall at Phoenix?
Well, I mean, listen, the race at Martinsville, that was pretty blatant. But there's a lot on the line. You're going to transfer or you're not, and it's the closing laps of the race. I think if Denny had to do it over again, he wouldn't have done that. But I'm not a big fan of the 22, and I didn't care for what he did to Matt Kenseth at Kansas. So you're asking me about Martinsville first. I was fine with it.
Got a Logano fan right here. That's why I asked.
That's okay. Listen, it don't matter to me, man. You stand up where I stand 15, 20 years and you see the things you see, you'll see a lot that you don't see on your couch.
Definitely. I mean, how was it work?
All right. So, what's a normal day like for you? Because I'm guessing it's not like a normal 9 to 5 over at Hendrick there.
So spotters don't work in the shop at all. But the role of what we do has changed quite a bit. And the reason for that is the evolution of the crew chief has changed. So it's kind of like a bunch of gears, right? The cog changes, this one changes, that one changes. So the crew chiefs for the longest time were just hardworking guys that worked their way up from short tracks, learn how to build shocks. They were leaders by trade, and they worked themselves into being crew chiefs. Well, now once technology became more and more prevalent in our sport, crew chiefs slowly began to become driven by engineering backgrounds. And so the Tommy Baldwins, the Slugger Labbies, the Chad Canalses, who were just hardworking guys that rose through the system to become crew chiefs and can call great races and understood the dynamics of the car, kind of started getting slowly weeded out in favor of engineers. And so now that we have 99% engineers on top of all of the boxes, they approach the race a little differently, where a lot of times during the race they're looking at data and sim overlays to decipher what their car is doing and how it's performing versus data and sim looking at. So, and they have chats going on with the other crew chiefs from our teams. And so that morphed into the spotter talking more to the driver during the race about the car, about lane choices, about rubber buildup, about weather affecting the race, or about other cars and what they're doing, or about performance of other cars, where before that really wasn't part of a spotter's language. So that that then morphed into the spot is studying more. So we get home from a race on Sunday, depending on what time it is. I'm in a library here at my house, and I'm watching tape all day long on Monday of the race that we're going to that week. And then I'm preparing 2 reports. The one report is on pit road, and the other report is half of every note I could think of from the weekend we just finished, and a whole synopsis of everything I just saw on tape for the race that we're going to. Tuesday morning, I'm at a meeting at the shop with the driver, the crew chief, and 3 engineers. That meeting ends somewhere around lunchtime from mid-morning, and that starts my weekend. So I'll have off Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday, and then I'm back on a plane on Thursday. So, I mean, you get a day and a half, maybe a day and 3/4 off, but it's kind of cantilevered to the schedule. But there is a lot of studying and a lot of homework being done to stay sharp and ahead and be able to give good information when it's warranted.
All right. Sure. All right. I just got one more question for you here. Out of all the tracks you go to through the year, if you could pick one specifically that you would want to drive at in a cup race, which would you choose?
I probably would want to say 2 of them.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'd love to do a speedway race at either one, Daytona or Talladega, either one. And then maybe Martinsville, because I raced there myself for several years. So I would love to do it in a cup car too.
Yeah.
That's probably 2 weird choices, but speedway race I think would be a lot of fun. Maybe I can get Chase a spot for me, and Martinsville I think would be equal amount of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Very cool.
Well, thanks for agreeing to come on the show. Best of luck to you and the 9 team this upcoming season. And
Yeah.
have a good day.
Thanks, fellas. Sorry about the Logano fan ruffling your feathers, but this is life. I'm pretty honest.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thank you.
It's all 20 minutes.